It is 5:30 PM on Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. I call this regular meeting of the Kingsville Independent School District to order. We will have roll call. Joey Ellis here. Brian Kufal. Martin Chapa. Here. David Garcia. Here. Jacob Perez. Here. Delma Salinas.
Here.
And Joseph Reese. Let the record show that there's a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code, Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move to a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
This meeting will be live video streamed, and before we move on to the item number 4, adoption of the agenda, I would like to make a request that we move item 7B, discussion and possible action regarding National School Counseling Week proclamation, up to section 6, under 6B. So after 6B, we'll move that up. So now we move on to item number 4. Okay. So can I have a motion that we move item 7B up to item number 6? Motion made by Mr. Garcia.
I'll second.
Second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we move on to item number 4, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Salinas.
Second.
Second by Jacob Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, any opposed? Motion, agenda approved. Item number 5, public participation. At this time, Ms. Berzan, do we have anyone who wishes to address the board? Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, communication administration, the recognition of the 2024 Winter Chess Tournament winners.
Before we do that, I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank everybody who helped us during the freeze, okay? Dr. Sandoval, Tino Garza, and Mr. David Garcia, our school board member, who also helps the county. So I want to thank them very much and acknowledge the fact that they were there for our community members that were in most need.
Thank you, Ms. Reese, Dr. Pettis, members of the board. On Saturday, December the 14th, 2024, KSD held their 2024 Winter Chess Tournament. Students from grades 2 through high school competed in beginning, intermediate, and advanced divisions. This tournament showcased the year-long preparation of the competitors. After 7 rounds of intense competition, the event culminated with an award ceremony. Every student that competed received a tournament ribbon, and the division winners received trophies. We would like to thank all the parents, administrators, teachers, and paraprofessional staff who worked so hard to make this event a huge success. The winners for the tournament were, and as I call your name, please come to the front. Second grade beginner, Xander Basan from Harvey Elementary. Second grade beginner, Liliana Alvarez from Harvey Elementary. Third grade beginner, Allison Martinez Ramirez from Harvey Elementary. Third grade beginner, Roque Correa from Harvey Elementary. Third grade beginner Matthias Pettis from Harrell Elementary. Third grade intermediate advanced Lucas Campos from Pettis Elementary. Fourth to fifth grade intermediate Gabriel Tamez from Harrell Elementary. Fourth to fifth grade intermediate Emily Latta from Harrell Elementary. Fourth to fifth grade advanced Isaiah Correa from Harvey Elementary. Secondary intermediate division Daniel Pena from Gillette Middle. And secondary advanced Antonio Castillo and Steve Salinas, both from HMK High School. And could we get the principals and the sponsors up as well, please? The sponsors were Yesenia Nieto from Harrell, Sonia Martinez from Harvey, Ida Alaman from Pettis, Juan Mesa from Gillette, and Godfrey Sisonko from HMK.
Thank you to Dr. Pitts, who sponsors this whole tournament.
3, 2, 1. Perfect.
All right, congratulations.
Congratulations to all the Winter Chess Tournament winners. Now moving on to item 6B, School Board Recognition Month Proclamation. Dr. Pettis and Mayor Sam Fugate.
For this special recognition, we have called our mayor.
There you
Thank
go. Well, thanks for having me. I tell you, I really enjoy recognizing school boards because, as y'all all know, I served on this board for 9 years, and I tell you, every year, hardest job I ever had. And I really appreciate everything that you do for our community, and it's a great service. Again, a very difficult job, and you deserve all the praise and recognition that you can have. And with that, I have a proclamation. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and employ them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society in an ever-changing world. And whereas the local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners, and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. Whereas the local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and community members to create the educational vision we want for our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school systems. And whereas local school board members are a strong advocate for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectation to the district. Now, therefore, I, Sam R. Fugate, as Mayor of the City of Kingsville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2025 as Kingsville Independent School Board Recognition Month in Kingsville, Texas. And I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to develop an education system that meets the needs of both today and tomorrow's children. And as witness whereof I have set hereunto set the cause the seal of the City of Kingsville, Texas, to be affixed this the 23rd day of January 2025, and it's signed by me. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mayor Fugate, and if we would all like to stand, please, and give a round of applause. All of our campuses also, they adopted our board members, and we had our CTE department and our athletic department, giving them some wonderful tokens of appreciation. So I want to thank you all for doing that as well. There's nothing like getting something from the kids, right? It's the best. So thank you to our campuses as well for doing that and helping us celebrate our school board members. We could not do what we're doing without the support of our school board members. So thank you so much.
So now we will go over item 7B, discussion and possible action regarding National School Counseling Week proclamation. Dr. Bessanides.
Thank you, Board President and members of the board. The week of February the 3rd through the 7th, 2025 has been designated as the National School Counseling Week. National School Counseling Week proclamation reads as follows. Whereas school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, their strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development, and whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further their educational, personal, and social growth of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society, and whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Kingsville Independent School District do hereby proclaim February the 3rd through the 7th as National School Counseling Week.
Thank you, thank you. We do have, can y'all hear? Is this?
Yeah.
We do have Ms. Amber yet?
I need to go get the door for the
Okay. We'll wait up here for you so we can take a picture with you.
Oh, that's awesome. I will let the board members know that all of them were coming on Tuesday, and then I started getting messages, oh, Dr. B, we moved it to Thursday. But we're glad that some were able to come this evening to be recognized.
And during that week, we'll definitely be showing them.
Oh,
some
yes.
extra special support.
We're so sorry for the delay. You need cold?
That's
I
okay.
know Sandra is on her way though. She just said, we're on the border, so she's working at Transfer.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you for representing.
You're
You
very
just finished
busy.
doing the proclamation, so we're gonna come up here and get you. Oh, thank you. That you can hear me.
Sandra gets here.
3, 2, 1.
So we have Gillette and we have tenants present, okay?
Yes, most definitely thank you to all our counselors because they do so much for our students. We appreciate you. Now moving on to item number 6C, VFW Post 2375 Teacher of the Year for 24-25 award recipient. Ms. Odi Moreno and Mr. Apolonio Munoz.
Well, it gives me great pleasure not only to represent the VFW, but to introduce you to our awesome veterans.
Okay, we just got our other counselor here, so you know what, let's redo, all right? Let's do it. Come on, Ms. Sanders. We understand.
counselor's job is never done.
No, no, do it. That's important. I was like, what? I got everything. We were in the middle of the. I know.
Three, two, one.
Thank you.
Thank you all for making it.
Thank you.
Mr. Reese, Dr. Pettis, and the school board members, it gives me honor and pleasure not only to be an advocate for the VFW but to present our veterans tonight and have a very special presentation for one of our staff members.
Dr. Bettis and esteemed board members, my name is Apolonio Munoz. It feels like I was just here not too long ago wearing one of my other hats representing the American Legion with the donation. But tonight I'm representing the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2375, the Roy E. Davis Post. Every year, in conjunction with our essay contest that we do for middle school and high school students, which if you guys have any students that want to participate, please do. We also have a Teacher of the Year award. We haven't done this in a while, so what I wanted to do this year was revitalize it. So I reached out to some of our community members, especially parents, and asked them, who would you recommend? And time again, we got the same answer.
Wow.
It was from one of our very own here in Kingsville. Even though he doesn't live here, we still consider him a member of this local community. He's a retiree of the United States Army. He is always there for these students. I see this in their faces when I give other presentations, that he is always there during the day, after hours, regardless, not only for the parents, for the students, but the parents as well. So it was our great honor this year. And and in case you want to know, this award starts here at the post level, goes on to our district, and then the winners go on to our department, which is our state level, and then to national, just like our essay winners. So it compounds the award. So if you have any educators, this award, not only is this for the high school level, but we have another award also for elementary teachers and middle school teachers. But because we wanted to revitalize it this year, we decided just to use this one to say, hey, this is what we're doing here for the students. So it is my great honor that we recognize the National Citizenship Educator Teacher Award for the Post 2375, Sergeant Carlos Camacho. I know you said you wanted to donate it to the students, so they're doing a little bit. Yes.
Good job, sir.
3, 2, 1.
That was outstanding for Staff Sergeant Camacho is usually when we're in the military, you know, everybody thinks it's real big. We think it's a small military. I currently ran into one of his past students and she's currently deployed. So Sergeant Rosales, she's phenomenal. Before she departed, we spoke and she told me, you know, her story and so forth. Not only did he have an impact on her, but he also had an impact on her older sister. So this is an individual who just doesn't reach out and reach within our community. this individual's deployed, she talks about Sergeant Camacho all the time to all her other soldiers. So that's the kind of impact that he has in our community and to our students.
And those are his students in the back, so wow.
I just want to say thank you. Yes, I'm not from here. I'm sorry.
You're a
Uh,
Bravo. Once a
Yes,
Bravo,
I am a
always
Bravo. I said that since I moved here. I'm originally from Corpus. When I retired, I wasn't sure where to go, what was going to be my future. My mom was still alive at that time. The reason I came back, got worked through Mysterious Ways. When I became a Brahma, I said, this is it. I really don't have a community, and you are my community. I said that bottom of my heart. I live between Robstown and Cal Island. My wife's from Robstown, don't even ask how I am. But when you enter the military, you make a living, you make a career out of it, and I wasn't sure where my career was going to end up at. I thought I was going to be at Oklahoma, and when the calling called here and this job was available, I took it. And again, I am proud to be a Brahmin. 2 years ago, I almost left. I think that would have been the biggest mistake. I remember what our superintendent said: don't ever let somebody take your pride, your worth. And somebody almost took that from me, but I stayed here and I said, you know what, I'm going to fight it because, again, I know what I'm worth. My students know what I'm worth. And again, I do this for them. So,
We're going Camacho. I'll be in the back.
yeah. Me too.
Three, two, one. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Camacho, for what you do for our district. Moving on to item 6D, property and casualty insurance update. Dr. Pitts and Mr. Chase Carlisle.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. I'm going to let Chase Carlisle talk a little bit about our insurance. I want to say just a couple of things. Our property and casualty insurance, the term is always from March the 1st to February the 28th. So this is not an approval item tonight. We are bringing this to you as an informational item, and to ask any questions, we will be bringing it next month for approval. As you see, there are two options that Chase is going to talk about up there. Basically, they are almost the same, just the amount of coverage. One covers $15 million and one covers $25 million. And if you look, can you scroll down to the bottom where we can see the prices right there? If you look at, keep going, the next page. If you look at that bottom where it says premium summary, the property is the one that we're looking at right there. Both of the options are lower than what the premium was last year, and Chase will talk a little bit about the reasons why. And then you see the amounts for all the other insurances that we have there as well. So, Mr. Carlin?
Good evening. Dr. Pitts kind of stole my thunder there, but excited to be here this evening because the first time in a few years we actually get to talk about some premium decreases. So that's the good news. I'm assuming y'all are looking at the same thing, but if we could scroll back up to the top, just want to start from the top here. Like Dr. Pitts said, there's 3 columns here. The far left column is what the district currently carries right now on their insurance program. The middle and far right column are the 2 options for consideration and discussion this evening. The first line item, the building and contents values right there. Last year, we had $174 million of building and content assets insured within the district. This year, we're looking at about $183 million. Represents about a 5% increase, not necessarily new buildings or new items that we're insuring, but a 5% increase in the total valuations that we're trying to insure. Again, trying to maintain the inflationary cost issues we're seeing in the construction market. So that's the difference there. So we are getting about $8.6 million more of coverage there. The biggest difference between option 1 and option 2 is the amount of insurance that we're buying. So again, as a refresher from last year, the whole $183 million worth of buildings and contents are insured, but what we refer to as a loss limit is the amount of insurance we're buying on those assets. So currently we're purchasing $15 million. Option 1 would be reflective of the same thing that we bought last year. Option 2 would be an increase of coverage from $15 to $25 million of coverage. As we scroll on through there, there's some items that are highlighted in yellow, specifically right there in the deductible section. So the district last year did have a 1% wind and hail deductible, a 5% named storm deductible. It's the same thing this year, but it's worded a little bit differently. So last year, our deductible applied per location. This year would apply per building. It's an enhancement to the district in your favor. When we think of like a high school campus, we may have multiple buildings there. If we had damaged 1 or 2 buildings, last year they were going to apply the 5% to all the building values at that location and apply the deductible, which would have been much larger than going to a per building deductible. So now our 5% will only be applicable to the building that does sustain damage, not the entire campus. So that is an enhancement that we gained this year as well. We can probably scroll on through this. The rest of the coverage is general liability, school board liability, all of that stuff remained consistent with what we had last year. And we get to the bottom, which is the premium section, the last page, I believe, right there. Premium summary. So like Dr. Pitts said, last year the district paid $1,047,000. Option 1 this year would be $871,000, and option 2 would be $940,000. If we did nothing, we buy the same thing we bought last year. We're looking at roughly about a $92,000 reduction in cost to the district, which represents about a 9% decrease in overall expenditures. Option 2, which buys us the $25 million versus the $15 million, we'll still see some savings there. It's about $22,000 or 2% of expenditures on the insurance, but gaining another $10 million in coverage. Mainly the main reason that we looked at option 2, and Dr. Pitts and I were talking about, is because it's not only applicable to windstorm damage, it would be applicable to fire damage too. As we're aware, we do have some higher value facilities such as the high school. I think we got that on there for roughly $55 million. So the concern there would be if we did have some type of fire, probably not going to burn the entire complex down, but could sustain enough damage. The city comes in and says, hey, it's not structurally sound. We need to tear the entire complex down. And at $15 million, we would be in the hole for the rest of the reconstruction costs. Of course, we're still about halfway insured at $25 million, but it does give us a little bit more buffer should we have some substantial fire damage. Normally, the hurricanes and tropical storms are not going to be a total loss, so that's not necessarily a concern. It'd be more applicable to a fire loss. That's pretty much what I got, unless anybody has any questions on it. One more thing real quick. He did mention, why are we seeing decreases? We talked about this last year. We've been in probably the worst property market the industry had seen in the last 40 years. Hurricanes, for whatever reason, have started to subside, especially in the Texas Gulf Coast area. Yes, Florida had a couple this year. The one that went up into North Carolina, fortunately and unfortunately, however you want to look at it, didn't really affect the insurance market too much because a lot of that stuff was uninsured, or what was insured was flood damage, and that was insured by the National Flood Insurance Program that's administered by FEMA. So the carriers that we use didn't really affect their loss ratio too much. And then fortunately, the one that went into the Tampa area, a little bit south of there, ended up not being as big of a disaster as we initially thought it would be. So from a global reinsurance standpoint, the losses for the last year and a half have subsided, and the competition that pulled out when we were in that hard property market has now jumped back in, which is creating a competitive atmosphere in the market. So we're able to pin carriers against each other to negotiate some lower rates. And that's really why we're seeing the decreases we're seeing right now.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Essentially, option one, option two, the difference between the two is about just over $69,000, with the possibility of up to an additional $10 million in coverage.
Yes,
Is
sir,
that
that's correct.
Okay. The second question is, with the wildfires raging in California, do you foresee that possibly impacting our premiums maybe next year?
Yes, sir, it's not a good situation. It's still too early to tell what type of losses those will have on the effect of the insurance market. I can't tell you what that's gonna have on effect next year. We just gotta take it year by year, but it doesn't look like a good situation. That's enough damage that could switch us back the other way, especially depending on going into hurricanes this season. If we start having a few storms, plus the wildfires, we may flip off in the market again.
Can you clarify, though, that these rates are fixed this year, the
Yes, sir.
wildfires will not affect?
We're good this year.
I had a question. I don't know if this is for you or Pitts, or Dr. Pitts, but were there any assets that you identified that didn't need to be insured? Maybe some old buildings? I know there's some school districts in the area that do not do that to some assets. Did we identify any things like that? Or can we get even lower to discounted rate?
We can. We pretty much scrubbed the schedule pretty hard last year. If you do recall, the Gomez complex, the FEMA dome type issue, we looked at removing those types of items. The theory again behind that was it's kind of built for that purpose. So why are we buying wind coverage on that? So we did a pretty good job of scrubbing the schedule last year. But again, at the discretion of the district, yes, we can always remove older facilities. Always advise people, if you have older facilities, that if something did happen to it, we wouldn't replace it, then why are we buying insurance on it today? So those are the things we need to keep in mind. Yes, it may be of useful value right now, but if it did go down and we didn't need to replace it, then we probably shouldn't be insuring it right now either. So again, we can have those discussions. Like he said, this is just informational purposes today. If the instruction from the board and Dr. Pettis is continue looking at the schedule, identify other assets that we can remove, we've got a little bit more time before we need to take it to the board for approval for a 3-1 renewal.
I have one more question. I should have asked this question earlier, but are Lamar and McRoberts insured?
Yeah, they're not on the schedule.
They're not?
They're not on the
Okay.
schedule.
Okay. Good.
Do they have a copy of this too?
Yes, they have a copy of that.
That's kind of like the meat and potatoes of the deal. There's a bigger package, board packet. Inside there, the last couple pages is an actual schedule of all the properties that we are insuring for your review if you want to look at that.
Any other questions?
Let me add one thing, Ms. Reese. So this is good news that there is a decrease, but 5 years ago, we were paying a lot less to insure the whole 170 or $183 million right now. So the market has really increased recently, and it has kind of course corrected a little bit, but it's something that it's one of the largest expenditures in our district, and this is something that we really need to consider all options on the table. There are other possible options that maybe in the future we might bring to the board. I know we talked about possibly self-insuring. There might be other options that pop up as well in the future, and we'll continue to bring those to the board.
No other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carlisle.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thank you.
Dr. Pitts. Please accept my apologies. I got excited about recognizing our counselors that I failed to bring that to a vote, that proclamation. So if you would, please, do I have a motion to accept the action regarding the National School Counseling Week proclamation? So moved by Mr. Mireles. Second. Second by Mr. Chapa. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now moving on to item 6E, Superintendent's Update. Dr. Pettis.
Okay, I've just provided you the most recent staffing roster for you. I've been trying to give you updates every, so many, at least once a month, I think, so that way you know kind of where we stand at this point. So, do you have any questions about it?
On the retiree or across the board, do we pick up those surcharges as a district for everybody? Do we, just across the board?
Across the board with, yeah, we pick up all the surcharges. That law change, was it right after COVID, I believe? Right, where we had, the district started.
So it's a mandatory thing then,
Yes, sir.
rather than optional.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Before, it used to be the employee that would,
Yeah.
take it, but now, their districts don't have a choice. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so it is springtime, so you're gonna start seeing some, this is usually when people start contemplating retiring and maybe other opportunities, or we start really posting for vacancies, but we are, like I said, we've been reducing staff through attrition, but without sacrificing class size. And I was able to show you all that recently with the class sizes. Thank you. Okay, the next update is really just an overview of the parent and community meeting we held last Monday. I appreciate the people that attended. Thank you very much. And just kind of showing that, and I'm going to go through it very, very quickly. with our dual credit or early college. Couldn't do it without you, board.
I think, going back in that historically, Dr. Sandoval was there, I was there historically. I would have probably given, I'm not right-handed, so I'd probably give this finger for the support that we're able to support the schools with now, because we didn't have it back then. And I appreciate now that as a board, we see that what these schools need, we gotta get it for them.
Exactly.
Wherever that money free is at Luckett. Also for our two elementaries and middle school that need that extra support, 100% behind that.
Absolutely.
So as a board member speaking, I think that, that's where our focus has to be, get those three campuses back where they need to be and get out there and get those bragging rights back.
Yes, exactly. Everybody on this team feels that way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay. All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pettis. Moving on to item 6F, ADA update, Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. President, Dr. Pettis, trustees, I hope everybody's doing good today. If you go to the first slide, you'll see our enrollment. To date, HMK is at 895, Gillette at 454, Harvey at 469, Harrell at 309, and Pettis at 376, for a total of 2,503. There have been changes. Kids are coming and going. We had a difference of 21 kids at the high school, a difference of 5 kids at Gillette. We lost 13 kids at Harvey. Harrell, we lost 1, and Pettis, we gained 10. They're all going somewhere. They're all, we haven't updated our withdrawal list because of the weather, kids, the staff being out. As soon as we update the withdrawal list and we know where they're at, we will be locating them and making sure they're in school somewhere. But there has been some changes in enrollment.
I know you mentioned high school had lost 21 students as of when?
Since my last report, I apologize, Matt. Since my last report, there's been a difference. There's a difference because we've gained and we've lost. We gained and we lost. So there's a difference from last time.
Yeah, so next time bring the enrollees, how many have enrolled and how many have withdrawn?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Again, just the staff being busy, being out this week, they weren't able to. Okay. If we go to a next slide, attendance, of course, we're going through a really tough time. Flu season has hit us pretty hard. It's hit us late because we had a warm fall. So it kind of hit us late in the fall. So we started, our numbers started taking a hit November, December. I got it during Christmas. I was out for the 2 weeks where I had it, and I just got rid of my cough, this week. So I'm pretty sure we know somebody who had the flu is sick. We're really trying hard. We're making our home visits, which you'll see a roster on our next page. We're making our home visits. We're making calls daily. And one of the positives right now is that our 3 elementaries right now are at 94.48. And that's with illnesses and, people being out, the cold. So in the first semester, we were at 94.48, which is a positive. Our goal is 95% for the elementaries. We're really looking at, we're really targeting the high school, of course, and Gillette. And again, making visits, making calls, having conferences with students. Had 2-3 conferences with students, and then having to take them to court if they don't respond. And of course, that's the last step. So that's where we're at.
Elementaries, because what you're doing is you're developing good habits for these kids and as they're growing. Some of the kids that are in our high school develop some bad habits when they're younger, and it's hard to break habits. So thank you so much for everybody for trying your hardest to get your children here to school, but we just need to keep fighting, just keep battling that.
And like you were saying about the success, going, just going circular and just, we're getting there. We do have to attack the children right now, and the junior high, our freshmen, because if we can get them straight as freshmen and have their credits, it's going to be easier for them to graduate. Once they start struggling as freshmen, they will have a harder time graduating because they start thinking that they're not going to make it. So, but one of the things is illness is really hurting us. Our attendance clerk at the high school mentioned that we have 40 to 50 excused absences per day. So, I mean, they're bringing in excuses, but they're absent, and of course, there's some absences that are unexcused. So, and again, if you go to the next slide, you'll see a home visit log. This is just a sample of one day. I think me, Margie Galindo, the parent liaison, and Brittany went out that day, and we made some home visits, made contact with 3 or 4 people. That was a good day for us. And again, we leave door hangers. Sometimes I write, truancy will be filed if you don't improve. So we do try and leave a note, a door hanger, with information, letting them know that they need to get to school. Okay. The next slide is our impact teams. We have been continuing with our impact teams. As you can see, our HMK staff, we've met with about 78 students. Of course, we had meetings set up all this week, and of course we couldn't meet those meetings. Gillette, we've met about over 29, Harvey over 26, Harold 13, and Bettis 14. Okay, so and what we're finding out, of course, all this helps us create, like for the high school, to help us create a list of maybe we should send the student to care. Maybe the student will do better at care, and that's one of the things that we've been doing with Mr. Segovia and our staff, and then we decide it's like, let's start looking at care for the student. He only had these many credits, so I think they're really productive, and I think they're just going to continue to get better once we polish some things out. We did have a truancy court today. As you can see, we had 47 in the fall, and 21, we filed 21. We haven't had those. We're still finishing with the 47. We have 13 pending. There's 13 in the office that need to be turned in. As for example, today we had eight students who were supposed to show up. 6 showed up. One of them wasn't a positive one. 5 were really positive, really positive. Mr. Segovia was there. Some of the staff were there to help out. I think the assistant principal from the high school was there to just give information on the student. And we know it's going to be a tough student. We do ask the attendance clerk and the assistant principal to go and just to give us information. That way, the student's not able to say, well, that's not true. And it comes straight from the principal. So it was a really positive one. Judge Gonzalez has done a good job of calling kids. This was the second visit for those kids. And he called them 2 weeks afterwards. He goes, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. You're going to have to report in 2 weeks. And so he was really after them. And he gave one student, I think 1 or 2 students, like 2-3 more weeks. And he goes, don't make me order you something. Even though he was doing well, but his behavior was a little, but he was going to school, and he might have not been doing his work and just causing some problems, but he was going to school. He was following that order. So he told them, don't make me give you a different order, So he's being soft and firm at the same time. But I think we're really satisfied with Judge Gonzalez. Okay, so if there's any questions.
Gonzalez, what's after today, you said you had court today, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the next step on our part, not the judge's part, but what's our step? What's our next steps?
For those particular students?
For those students that were there today.
Well, what we need to do, we need to set up, for instance, one of them, we need to set up a counselor meeting with us and the parent, to see what do you need, and actually that was kind of ordered, that was ordered for me, the counselor, the principal to be there. That was, for instance, one of them. The other ones, make sure they're going to Bright Blue Fridays. That one's ordered for everybody. You need to go to Bright Blue Friday. Make sure they're following that. And as a matter of fact, like I said, having the assistant principal there, Mr. Salinas, the attendance clerk, and Mr. Segovia, it really gives us 4 eyes on the kids. So we will be monitoring, and we've done, I think, with these kids that showed up, we did a good job of monitoring them.
So you said there was a couple of them that this was their second time the judge has already dealt with them. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was
what was their behavior from that first time till now?
Well, they
Are
were, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Are they in class now? Are they being?
They are in class, but one of them was leaving for an extended period of time. He would ask for a pass and kind of leave and not come back. You know, but he was in school. He was in school, and you know he was finding a way around the order, but he was in
Sometimes
school.
being in school is a disruption also for the others.
Yes, I
So
agree.
That's, I don't want to just get credit for them being in school.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's what I think I'm hearing. Oh, get in school, don't worry about anything else, but do what you want to do.
Well, on that student in particular, he was sent. I hope I don't speak too much, but he was sent to MHMR today, and there was a discovery. There was a diagnosis done today. So we did follow up a little bit more on that. Why is this going on? But he was sent from the court to MHMR today, and the judge called me and said there was something. Was a diagnosis. I'll get with you later on. When the MHMR lets us know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gonzalez, on the judges, you talked, just to refresh our memory, are we just working with one judge now, or are we still working with the others?
I had court Friday when we were off. I had court with Judge Parera. And we had, there was supposed to be 5 students show up. 1 student showed up, 1 parent. And the other mom of 3 failed to show up. There was a warrant put out if she gets stopped. Okay. The other one, of course, they're just going to reset it again and try and get her to go in court. So, but again, we'll continue the home visits with that parent with those 2 parents and try and get them to go to school. The one with the 3 kids, they've been in court several times. And some people are going to be like that. They're going to be tough, and we're just going to keep on working with them.
Thanks to you, Max, and everybody in the team for your efforts.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question. As far as when you all go to court with the students, who from the school is representing? Is it just you and Max?
No.
Or do administrators need to be there required?
Well, last year,
Who's there?
yes, sir. Last year, Ms. Tanya Williams started visiting with it, and like I said, they all usually send somebody if I ask them to. But this year for the high school, it's been Mr. Steven Salinas, the attendance clerk said they have.
Do they always go? Or
They've been going, yes, sir. I think we've had 3 and they've
Because
gone.
I feel that you need to have an administrator there or counselor or someone that knows the students.
Yes, and like I said, it's a good team. It's a good team because whenever they try and say something, it's like, no, it's not that way, Judge. And but for the junior high, Mr. Baron went, and for the elementaries when we needed a diag, I think we've had Ms. Cadena go. So it's been a good team. Okay, and I'm glad that like the people are there because one time the judge goes, so are we furnishing transportation for a sped student? And Ms. Cadena was there, and it's like we do this to the door and this, so questions were answered. Okay. We just got to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully, like you said, the line will go straighter.
Change those bad habits.
Yes, and that's what they are, bad habits, and just getting after the parents. Parents are, we need to work with them. Good. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? None. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6G, budget recap, report, and check register for November 2024. Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. I'm just going to point to a couple of items. The first one is CS Advantage. That is a contractor that is building the new roof at the vocational buildings at the high school. This is the second payment to them. Total cost was $700,000. Now we paid almost $600,000. We have about $105,000 remaining until they complete the roof. The other one is Roberto Tapia. He was the vendor that disconnected the HVACs from that same roof, pulled them down, disconnected all the pipes, and then rebuilt the curbs up because it sloped more. And that's also a partial payment. When the whole roof is finished, he will put the HVAC units back on, reconnect everything when it's all done. So there's still another payment there too. And then Salt Creek for technology. That was a grant that was paid to have security cameras installed at all of the entrances of all our campuses. So again, we got funding for that. I will take any other questions that you have.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you, Dr. Pitts. Moving on to item number 7, new business. By common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action item the following: the approval of the regular board meeting minutes of December the 3rd, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a question.
Okay,
Okay, the item is 7D. On page 82, 83. Okay, the gates, that's not a question. And I know the 54,000 for an instructional leadership consulting services.
Oh, that's a separate item, I believe, right?
It's part of the consent.
at this point, we're just approving the regular board meeting minutes. You still have to go through that. No, because we have to vote on it. 70, yes, we voted on it.
So right now, the only thing that's being voted on or approved, so to speak, is the consent of the last meeting minutes. So that should be the only thing right now being voted on, or a motion being made on that. 17 should be a separate matter.
Okay, so it's not all of them together.
No, ma'am.
It's not lumped together.
No.
Okay, and I thought,
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept that?
I'll second that. It's just the minutes, yeah.
We have a motion made by Martin Chapa, second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Of course, we've already gone over 7B. Moving on to 7C, discussion and possible action regarding the 24-25 application for staff development waiver. Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Every year, school districts must have session for students for 75,600 minutes. If they do not get full funding. They lose funding for the amount of minutes that they have. Currently, with the 2 days that we were closed for school during this freeze, we would be under the 75,600 minutes. But the state has a waiver that they've had for the last 4 or 5 years that you can apply your professional development minutes toward that 75,600. We have been notified that next year, if we approve a 4-day calendar for ADA, that we would not be able to apply for this waiver next year, but still we are allowed to apply for it this year. And the state considers, even though we go to school for Bright Brain or Fridays, since we don't have ADA on Fridays and it's not a required day, they consider us a 4-day district. So even though we can use this waiver this year and then we would not have to make up those bad weather days next year, if the board approves a 4-day calendar, then we would have to make up all the bad weather days in 25, 26.
And when we do the calendar like this year, we have some days designated as makeup weather days. We just don't have to use them this semester.
That's correct. If the board approves this professional development waiver, 2,100 days, so that's basically another, every day is probably about 465 minutes. So that'll give us another 4+ days. 2 that we've already spent and possibly 2 others in the future this year for bad weather that we would not have to make up, and we can still receive full funding.
So is there a motion to approve the application for staff development waiver?
So moved.
Moved by Jacob Perez,
I'll second.
second by Damos Arias. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to line item 7D, and discussion and possible action regarding the purchases of $50,000. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. So there are two items, neither one is out of the general fund. Let me discuss S&J Fence first. There's a safety grant, and there are very few items that you can spend on this grant. We still have approximately $700,000 remaining in this grant. It's going to be difficult to spend because we can use it on a couple of things. We can use it on fences. We can use it on that bulletproof resistant film, which we've already used it on and put it on all of our campuses. We can use it on repeaters for walkie-talkies. We can use it for cameras at the entrances, which we've already used it for as well. And then the last thing we can use it for is the silent panic alert system, which we are using it for as well. So there's a limited number of items that we can use that grant for. And if the board approves it, then we will. We already have a fence around the high school. This would be a fence around for automatic gates at Harvey and HMK as well too. The ESF grant, that is another grant. It's a school improvement grant, and we have to. There are certain items again that we can use it for. One of it is you have to have a partner, and TNTP is our partner. They provide instructional leadership consulting for Gillette. I don't know. Did you want to add anything, Dr. Bessanaya? Is there?
What is that TN? And that funding comes out of?
That funding is a grant that we receive that we have to, it's a 2-year grant. And we have to expend it by the end of 25-26. So it's a $100,000 grant. And again, you can really only use it for school improvement activity. And this particular one, what this firm does is they provide instructional leadership coaching over at Gillette.
So is that, that's gonna be an outside firm then, that's not anybody we're hiring in-house?
No, it's an outside firm.
Yes. And Dr. Seguiere selected this particular firm after visiting with about 2 or 3.
Okay.
She's really
And so it's for 25, 26 for next year as well?
Yes, this grant ends in, and this group will be serving us all the way through 25, 26.
4,000 is for this year and next year?
Yeah, 54,000 is for this year. Next year, it's going to be 43,000 for a total of 99,000 total.
So the whole grant went to this?
All except for $1,000 went to this.
It's part of the tip process for the campus.
And I know that, it's being spent wisely. Is there any brochure or anything on that we can see what it's all about, so you can get to the board, maybe the next board packet or?
We can bring it during the CNI update.
Yes.
I think that'll fit in perfectly.
Just know what the details of what goes on.
Okay.
So what are her, this individual, what are the duties or like, what type of services does whomever provide?
Yes, she does come and visit with the campus principal and the leadership team. They do instructional walks. They go into classrooms. She reviews the data with Dr. Seguiere and helps them to really look at particular areas in the school, within the school, in the classrooms, and helps lead a lot of the PLCs and coach the team. So she's part of the TNTP. They speak extremely highly of her. I've met her once or twice while I've been there, but she is scheduled monthly to come to the middle school. She's not from Corpus. She's from another big city, and she does fly into the Corpus area to come particularly to Gillette to work directly with Dr. Seguiere. I can't provide you information about her and what specific goals they've selected, which is going to be a piece that's coming. Yes, ma'am. At an upcoming board, we're going to review all the TIP plans with the board.
So they get monthly?
Yes, sir. To my understanding, they do meet monthly or at least every 5 is.
When they come visit that month, do they stay the whole week or they just stay?
No, sir, they usually stay maybe not longer than 2 days. They do come with a very strategic agenda. They follow up the prior meeting, and then Dr. Segueda has to follow up with her electronically with items, observations, feedback on what she is doing to lead them. But that information will all be provided to you as well on our update for the TIP plan for the district, not only for Gillette, but for the other campuses.
So she, then,
I think it used to be called, was it PPC or P?
I know, similar to that, yes, yes.
Gilbert Country?
Gilbert, yeah.
Yes.
PSP.
Oh,
PSP.
PSP.
Max.
Okay, so that it's kind of like the same.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
But the principals
And
all.
we did vet them because
Yes.
once we got the ESF grant, it's like everybody's asking you, we want to be a part of you. So we definitely networked with other districts to see success rates,
Right.
things like that.
And all the principals
person
attended,
touches base with you all then after.
yes, but they've attended all the trainings at the service center, with, Dr. I was gonna say Williams, but it's not Dr. Williams. Yes, all the principals have gone to all the TIP training. They did vet all of the, folks who were coming to provide, and they selected this one in particular.
So
Yeah.
then she really monitors her progress.
Yes,
and
she
then
does.
reports to
Yes.
you all.
Yes, she does, very closely,
Yes.
which aligns really well with the team. They love it.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
familiar with the
familiar.
Right.
grant, but
Yes.
Different name.
yeah. So that's what.
I have a question for Dr. Pitts.
Yes.
We're gonna spend the money for the safety grant. You seemed a little bit indecisive as far as it being difficult, because you mentioned that there's a bunch of opportunities. We just gotta decide what we're gonna use to, make our schools safer. So we're not gonna have trouble spending the money, correct?
I think we may have trouble spending it, sir. Because there are only certain items that you can spend it on. Once every school has a fence, once every school has a bulletproof film, once we have the silent panic alert, I think it's going to be a difficulty. We were awarded $887,800 for the entire grant, and we also had a foundation grant, formula safety grant before that. And then there's another grant after this as well too. It's going to be very challenging to spend all this money because it's so limited on what we can spend it on.
And you can't replace or, old stuff. So these grants are strictly for.
Those 5 things that we talked about. And once you have those 5 things, then that's it. Now, Safe Cycle 2 grant is much more lenient. Once we have met all the school safety standards, then Safe 2 can be used for anything from salaries for security personnel to basically handheld radios and safety supplies and things like that. So that one we won't have any problem spending, but this one we are going to have trouble spending all of it.
On the radio stuff for communication, I know we have them now. Is there anything out there that these guys in the field, it's gonna have to be, Dr. Sandoval, superintendent, Coach Segovia, something that can tie them directly into a law enforcement agency, where there's no wait or no call, but something that, we switch the channel and we're there. Because I've heard it in other parts of the state from friends of ours.
Yeah,
Are we
Mr.
heading in that
Meadows,
direction?
we have consulted with the Cleveland County Sheriff Department and City Police. We have been testing out some units that were lent to us. I think it was 5 units, Mr. 5 units that have been lent out, and we're testing to see how well they work within our facilities from school to school. And we're really happy about how they work and how they're going to service us. We wanted to see how they're going to work before we purchase them, and we are going to be making those purchases. And we've definitely got a quote, and it's something we're excited about getting because we're going to be able to communicate with law enforcement agencies, and we'll also be able to communicate within in-house as well. So yes, we are in the process, but one of the things that we needed to get done first, we need to make sure we met all the safety standards that are required as part of these safety grants. One would be the fence. We've got to put the fence in place first before we can spend the money on those radios. So that's what holds us back. Now that we've got this fence approved, once we get it approved today, and we make it and install it, then we'll be able to move forward with those radios.
Wonderful. That communication is so important.
We feel comfortable with what we're purchasing because we're working specifically with the city and the IT person here at City Hall, and they're gonna connect those radios so that we're able to communicate directly. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I know the automatic doors for the gates, it's just for Harvey and HMK. No one else needs automatic gates?
Those are the only two campuses that have parking lots that are gated.
Oh, okay.
So we've got to put egress gates so that they can get in and out without having to get someone to do it manually. We're definitely gonna do, I know Dr. Pitts mentioned that, there's some restrictions, but we're gonna try to spend as much as we can, but it is tough to spend that $887,000.
What about metal detectors? That not possible? Affordable?
That's the other side, cycle two, I believe, so. We're gonna try to spend as much as we can, Mr. Reese, and what we can't, we're gonna have to just, eat. There's conversation Max and I have had about fencing at Gillette. We're gonna have to have another conversation with an individual who told us we couldn't put a fence around the Gillette track. I still think we can. I definitely need to find out why we can't. I'm gonna keep asking those questions till I get the right answer. Because, Gillette track is an instructional area. When the kids go out there to do, things for PE, it's an instructional area. We gotta look and see if that can get funded or not, because that was one of the things we were expecting to pay with this grant initially.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
You were looking for ways of spending. Did you already speak about the cameras? Are they part of that?
Not that cycle, no, it's not.
No.
Well, we use cycle one for the exterior cameras that are focused at the entry of the campuses. So we use that for Safe Cycle Grant 1.
For all campuses?
For all campuses, we purchased like 46, 47 exterior cameras, Ricotta, high definition. Most of the money that we spent for the films and the fencing came out of that first grant that Dr. Fitz was talking about. So we couldn't use that money, that funding from cycle one, because we already had used the first grant. And then I just got an email, I forwarded to.
Mr. Segovia, can you come to the microphone so that way, as they're doing minutes, they can hear?
And as we received an email today that they extended Safe Cycle 1 grant and 2 to 2027. So we still have an opportunity, but we're very limited to how we can spend Cycle 1 because we've already done there's very little things that we can use to be in compliance. And we can't move to Cycle 2 until we are in compliance and we've met everything on Cycle 1. Believe me, if we had that, we could use it. Everybody would be driving a new car.
Armored car.
Armored car. Yeah, we're very limited.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to accept the purchases of $50,000? Motion made by Martin Chapa. Second. Second by Jacob Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have a clarifying question. On your document, you had the $84,000 on there. Was that included in this motion that was just made? I just want to clarify because the one we have is two itemized things, so we'll make sure that the approval is matching that.
So the 88,000 for S&J fencing, and then the 54,000 for TNTP?
A second ago, the one that was up there had 3 items on it. That's why I was confused to ensure that it matches.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much. So I did put this on to here at the last minute because we had a bunch of heaters go out at the last minute at Harvey. We have already spent over I think it was over 60 some odd $1,000 already. This has come to the board before for HVAC repairs, but we had emergency repairs over the holiday, and there are still repairs that need to be done at HMK and at Harvey. We are again seeking approval from the board. Some of this has already been done, and we do have the authority to, when something is an emergency, to do it preemptively. But this was kind of put on there because of the repairs that needed to be done because of heating over the break.
Did these problems with the, because that's what we've been getting some calls that it is kind of cold in the classrooms. Has this been a problem before, Dr. Pitts, or do we know about that, or?
This was just brought to Dr. Sandoval and my attention right at the end of last week. Dr. Sandoval and I spoke about it right as the board packet was being made, and we put this on there right at the last minute because we knew that these things needed to be fixed. And they have fixed what they've, for instance, they fixed the Harvey cafeteria. They fixed about 5 or 6 classrooms already at Harvey. We were able to get heaters in all the rest of the classrooms at Harvey, and we're working on getting them at HMK as well. But the problem is that some of them, it's the heat exchangers, and the heat exchangers are on back order, and it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks, which basically is going to be our cold season. So we're looking at basically temporary measures, which is getting heaters in those classrooms I was in a lot of the classrooms at Harvey yesterday testing it out, and some of them were pretty toasty. There are 1 or 2 that needed the heater, and we made sure that those were available. But these are things that we have talked about that we really need to almost run a test run before it gets cold. We don't want to be caught where it just all of a sudden gets cold and everything goes out. We want to test everything before. Dr. Sandoval, did you want to speak a little bit on this? Or?
Yeah, Dr. Sandoval has all the nuts and bolts about that because he was talking
Well,
about
I just want to make sure that, so you're telling me that this happened just this season?
It's never been.
We never had this.
Well, we always have. I'm going to answer that question, Mr. Garcia. We've had units down. They always go down. We've got hundreds of units throughout the district that are constantly, we're having one issue with another, maintenance, preventive maintenance, motors, things of that sort. We've had the perfect storm this, coming back from the break. We have one HVAC person on leave, and we had an HVAC person that left us for another company. And, it definitely put us in a predicament where the things that we typically would have repaired during that 2-week cycle would have been repaired. But not having anybody, we were on kind of a standby trying to piecemeal what we could. And then the freeze happened, this past week. So it definitely put us in a predicament. I was up on the roof at Gillette this morning, and I went to the roof on top of Harvey this morning. And we definitely have some issues at Harvey that need to be addressed. And as Peter mentioned, heat exchangers on multiple units that need to get replaced. And there's some minor pinholes in some of the heat exchangers, but can be potentially, hazard for our kids and our staff there at Harvey. So we definitely got to fix those. And Peter and I had those conversations this morning about let's get those quotes and let's get those things repaired. And Peter and I are in agreement on
And I
that.
totally understand that, and I thank you for doing that. But my question is, did these problems, because we did an assessment before or later, a while back, and about all the damage with HVAC and the roofs and everything in our school district. Nothing was found?
Not the issue that we're dealing with now, Mr. Garcia. No, those were not the specific issues. We do have aging units, and Gillette's one of those that has aging units. But the issues that we had at Harvey and both H.M. King were not specific on that report that we discussed about a year and a half ago.
So as far as the elementaries, they're all heated by, it's all electrical, there's no gas?
No, they're gas units. Same thing as, I believe most of our units are gas fed when it comes to heating.
Okay, and that's it, the elementaries? What about Gillette, are they electric?
No, they're gas as well.
They're also gas?
Yep. And walking that roof, I definitely found some additional things that, we may be bringing to the board eventually. I know we had some issues that we talked about a year and a half ago regarding the roofs at Gillette. Also piping, there at Gillette that are going to be an issue. I mean, we definitely look at that as a future project to replace that. Those units are almost 20 years old. there at Gillette. That roof's over 20 years, going on 20 years. So we definitely start looking at what we're going to plan to get that done to for a long-term solution.
Mr. Pitts, can we have a copy of the 3 items that we're gonna approve?
Yes, can you please put it up there?
Thanks, Commissioner. I would have this.
So we have S&J fence for 88,000, that's all out of the SAFE grant. We have TNTP for 54,000, that's out of the ESF grant. We have Quantum, of which already the board has approved 60, I believe it's around 62 or 63,000. The rest of it is for the emergency repairs that are needed because of the freeze. Those are the 3 items. And that is out of the general fund.
Are these repairs getting made, or is it just we're purchasing the heat exchangers, or what is the?
So it is for supplies and for services. Some of the repairs have already been made. The ones where we had the parts on hand, we had some heat exchangers on hand. We had some other motors on hand. Those that we had on hand, they were already able to put in, and they got them working over the break while everybody was gone. But there are ones that we still do need to order, and that is for additional parts as well as additional labor that will need to be done to fix the remaining units that are down.
So I'm not sure how we would handle this if the motion has already been approved. Do we need to?
I would go ahead and vote to pretty much erase what y'all previously voted on. And so I would clear it and say, we are going to move to retract y'all's previous vote because I don't have the information provided clearly, and then re-vote on the matter. So I just do it in the order of, you're going to move, or can you get a motion to retract our previous vote for item, are we on?
7D.
7D, because the information at the time was not all provided and discussed. And then get the motion to move, carry that vote out, and then say, can I now have a motion to move based on hearing all the items that are being discussed under 7D, and then move on that way.
Okay. Can I have a motion to vacate?
Retract item 70, we have now, and vote on that.
But can we remove that 3rd one since Dr. Pitts didn't even review it with us at the time?
Well, that's what we're saying, he just did now, we can
Well, after the fact,
re-vote
after
it.
we found it.
Right.
It's y'all's decision. If y'all want to vote to approve it, then that would be the option to do. If not, y'all could obviously wait and have a hearing on it later on, the next meeting in regards to the last one. But it depends on what the board's opinion is of whether they are open to voting to approve that 3rd item, or if you would like to wait on it and hear more about it. That's up to you or all's discretion.
Okay, so let's do one thing at a time. We have a first to vacate the motion by Martin Chapa. Is there a second to vacate the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mireles. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, is there a motion to approve the purchases of over $50,000 to include Quantum of 84,000? Is there a motion to accept that?
Can I ask a question now? Okay, you said that they've already approved 60.
Yes, but that's the limit. Whenever there are new services from that vendor that go over the limit that the board has previously set, I bring it back to the board with the additional expenditures.
20,000.
Right.
So what you're approving is the additional 20,000?
Is that what it is?
It is the additional 20,000, but in full transparency, I put what it would be for the whole year for that vendor with the new expenditures in there.
Okay, now, is it gonna delay the repairs if it's not approved?
If it's not approved, obviously what's been done is done, but then we would call them up and tell them to stop what they're doing right now until they have board approval.
So in essence, sorry, this is already hard. So in essence, the $84,000 you received an invoice for already.
No, we've received an invoice for the 62,000. We've received an invoice for about 4,000 more going past that already, the emergency repairs that were already done. And we have not gone forward with the rest of the repairs yet. We are waiting for approval for it.
Just my opinion, this is an emergency issue that needs to be looked at, so you have the right to, say no if you don't vote on it. So I'm bringing up the motion, do I have a motion to accept, these purchases of over $50,000 to include the additional $22,000?
Something around 22, yes.
$22,000 for Quantum, the vendor Quantum. Is there a motion to approve that? Okay, hearing no motion, then we table until the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
Are you still able to work on,
No, we are not able to move forward with
because I know
more
Harvey is
repairs
really
at Harvey
worried.
or HMK.
So I would also recommend, because y'all have retracted y'all's approval for the other two items, so I think there needs to be clarification about whether y'all can divide it up and say you're gonna approve the purchases for $50,000 for the first two, and that you don't want to include Quantum, that's y'all's discretion. But I think there has to be clarification of what y'all are voting on. If y'all want to separate it out and vote for each individual item, we can do it that way. But I would make sure that you'll have on the record that you are approving the S&J, FINSCO, and the TNTP, that vendor as well. But I'd make sure you're either divide up and vote per item, or you don't want to lump sum it because of the third one, that's y'all's discretion. But I think there'd be clarification so y'all can have it in your meeting.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the purchases for S&J Fence Company and TNTP and to exclude Quantum at this time?
Dr. Pitts, you couldn't put just 24,000 on the Quantum and it not have to come to the board, or is it?
No, it's,
double both?
right. I didn't want to do that. I mean, another way around it is we could start getting quotes for other vendors that we haven't gotten over $50,000 this year, but Quantum's already been addressing the issue, so it would be much more quickly solved with Quantum.
Thought maybe if you would do 24, you would have to bring it to.
I know, but in full transparency, no, if something's already over 50,000, then I just bring it back, because otherwise we could just split purchases up into 24,000 all year, and then you wouldn't have to prove anything. So
we have a motion made by Martin Chapa. Is there a second? The motion is to approve the purchase of $50,000 for S&J Fence Company and TNTP, but to exclude the Quantum vendor at this time.
Would it help y'all's decision making or thoughts if he brings all of the receipts and everything about Quantum to really itemize everything that we all are, seeing everything that's being spent? My worry is that we're gonna be getting calls from some of these schools that are, if it gets cold the way it's been, and then our hands are gonna be tied. We're not gonna be able to do some of these things.
And I understand it now.
And I apologize that I guess in the board packet, it doesn't show that last one. And that's because, again, this just happened right when we were leaving and right when we were putting everything together for the board, and it was an emergency situation. And I guess I thought that I had submitted this final one in time for the board packet, and apparently I did not.
But our attorneys have it.
Well,
How did you view it?
she saw it right
You
up
see it
there.
on the screen, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not my back, but I was looking at the screen.
Okay.
So we had an open motion made by Martin Chapa. Is there anyone willing to do a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jake Pettis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Yeah, I'm doing that, and, like Dr. Pettis said, there's gonna be calls coming in, and we're making it next week, we're gonna have some cold weather, and the morning's gonna be cold.
Can't we
So,
just vote on that single one again?
Can we do that?
Well, the motion that was just made was to exclude it. If y'all want to decide to now make a new motion, I would say then y'all need to move on to the new motion, but either way, the motion that just was accepted was to accept the 2 and exclude the 3rd. Obviously, if y'all want to change your mind, then we just need to say, y'all want to take another vote on it and clarify that, but it's up to you all. I just think that regardless, we want to clarify what y'all do want. So if y'all want to take a separate vote now on the 3rd item and do it that way, whatever y'all want to do.
We have to vote to vacate the exclusion or?
I would recommend that you vote to vacate and then you move to do all 3 in the lump sum, or y'all do individual votes for every single item, so it's clear on y'all's agenda, the meeting minutes next time, that y'all have agreed upon each one listed. Because right now, there's a lot of confusion in the air, what's being included, what's not being included, so I think that's what I want to clarify. How would y'all like to handle it?
Well, I mean, now I understand what you're
Mr. President,
doing.
is there a way that we could table this just before we go back there and discuss this and then bring it back? So we can be on the same page.
Vote on it and,
So
when
you,
we come back.
yeah, I make a vote to you can move or have a motion made to pause this discussion at this time and wait until after the closed session for the last matter, 7D, to be voted on.
Okay, so is there a motion to pause? Motion made by, without even finishing the motion, right? So, made by, Mr. Garcia,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to pause the discussion until after closed session.
Since we're talking about heaters, I do want to also thank Dr. Sandoval and Dr. Pitts, who were here on Friday, I believe Saturday, and yesterday and the day before, working on the heaters and just trying to make sure that Harvey and Agent King were up, I mean, at least warm enough for us to welcome back our students. So that took a lot of time, I know that. So thank you all for doing that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Dr. Pitts, real quick, back up to that safe grant money, whatever you get.
Yes, sir.
Could we pay our guys, security guys, a little bit more? You can't pay that.
We can't. There's only those 5 items. That's it.
What are those 5 items again?
Okay, they are the silent panic alert system.
Okay.
They are the fences around the buildings. And again, Gillette's one, the TEA has said that they won't pay for that, but we're trying to fight whether they will do that. It is the film, the bullet resistant film. It is the repeaters on the, that reverberate the signal. And then, which one am I missing? Oh yeah, the exterior cameras, yes. Only at entrances of campuses that have schools. Thank you, Dr. Sandoval. That's it.
All our campuses have.
We just bought new cameras. I mean, we're trying to max it out.
Film and all these other things.
We did that as well too. We did everything that we can think of, so.
Okay, what if the security guards wanted to put up the fence? Can we pay them?
I think we should leave that to professionals, sir.
All right, moving on to item 7E, discussion of possible action regarding donation to H.M. King High School. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you. So we're still awaiting the final approval of the donation policy. And we hope to bring it in February. But I figured that in the meantime, this one came by and we had talked about $1,000. So this one was $1,000. So I bring it to you in the meantime. Has not happened yet. They want to, Rory Zamora and family, they want to donate $1,000 to the high school prom. So usually the way this works is the junior class helps with the senior prom. So basically, if the board approves this, the money would go into the junior class student activity fund, and they would be in charge of administering that to help pay for the senior prom. And I'll take any other questions you might have.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the theme of the prom?
I do not know the
You want
answer.
to get ready? Make sure you buy some good croissants.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the $1,000 donation?
So moved.
Motion made by David Garcia,
I'll second.
second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank the family for, especially for the donation, but also for following, what we talked about before. Knowing the problem is in the spring, they want to make a donation now, it comes before us, we're informed, there's no questions asked for anything, and thank them very much for that.
This might encourage
Yes, sir.
others to start donating.
Yeah, if anybody wants to sponsor ACs and heaters, we'd love it.
Okay, moving on to 7F, discussion and possible action regarding a memorandum of understanding regarding bus exchanges. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you. So this is a multi-district partnership that we can set up a fee structure to share buses. There have been times when we have had buses down and they take a while to get repaired. And other districts, the same thing in our area. You see the districts there. On the cover sheet, I neglected to put Ricardo. This was actually their MOU that they started, so it did not get on there, but Ricardo is one of the districts you see on the memorandum of understanding there. And again, basically this says, this gives the, anytime resources are shared amongst government entities, we need to put a memorandum of understanding together. This has kind of been happening, but it hasn't been official. When there's emergencies, districts have done this, but this just makes it official that we can, again, with board approval, and we're getting all 8 boards to approve this, to share buses at a reasonable cost, and gives the administrations the ability to set together a fee structure to lend a bus probably at a daily rate. I'll take any questions.
Yeah, I have a few questions here. So what school district initiated this?
Ricardo.
And do you see this benefiting us, or are we being more the helpers for them, since we have probably the largest fleet?
I see it benefiting us because we still have buses that go out from time to time, and also we're the largest district, so we also have the most extracurricular activities. So there are going to be times where there's a lot of conflicts, and instead of trying to reschedule or try to like redo bus routes, this could help us where we could, on let's say one very busy day, we could borrow a bus or 2 as needed at a price. You're right, we do have the largest fleet, but again, we also have the biggest need as well.
And this is using our drivers or theirs?
This would be using our drivers.
Okay.
So so then we've done it before, you've already asked.
We have in a pinch, in an emergency, we have done that. I know we've done, I think with Ricardo for sure, and maybe with Rivera in the past, we've done it both ways when there has been an emergency and there's been no other way. This just makes it official that everybody knows, all the boards know that we are doing this, and that we're going to put together a fee structure so that it is the same pretty much across the board. Any other questions?
You know, working in transportation, at any moment, something can happen. There's a organization north of here that lost like 36 buses in a fire. Well, it started with one in public transportation. So the other agencies came together and said, hey, here's one bus. It's gotta keep on going. So I think it's a good thing. I think we need to look at that. Because at any time something can happen to us, we're willing it doesn't, but we gotta help each other out. I think it's something like that. Just me.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And if it turns out, as Mr. Chapa suggests, it is possible that maybe other districts are going to be using our buses more, we have a fee structure and we will be compensated for that as well.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding regarding bus exchanges?
So moved.
Made by David Garcia. Is there a second? Second by Jacob Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will now move on to item 8, in a closed session. The board will enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074, to deliberate and consider the following. Discussion regarding proposed litigation settlement agreement, discussion regarding personnel matters, consultation with legal counsel regarding pending legal matters. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering closed session at 7:34. which action will be taken. We are returning to open session at 8:32 PM. So actually, is there a motion to amend the previous vote, 7D purchases for $50,000 to include the $84,000 purchase to Quantum, the vendor Quantum? Is there a motion? So moved by Martin Chapa.
Second.
Second by Jacob Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Can we go over the registry?
There being no further action, do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved by Llamas Salinas.
Second.
I don't need a second, okay. The regular meeting, we adjourned the regular meeting at 7:30, 8:30. 8:30.
Big boss is trying to take an hour out of my check.